that will view emails but not answer the email or phone call. you know, I laugh because Doug and I work pretty well together, and um, one of the things that I think Doug especially has gotten very good has gotten very good at is recon, is you know quote unquote kind of stalking out the client. Right, we'll go and find their social media profiles. We'll if they're open, we'll look at them. We'll go and find I'll go and look at their LinkedIn, see where they work, see what they do, what they post, things like that. And sometimes if it's somebody I see and I say, you know what, this could be a really good client, I would even take the approach of maybe trying to just send a connection through LinkedIn, letting them see your name, and then maybe slide a little bit of information over there, or tailoring your drip campaign to that particular person to meet some of the things that they may be interested in that they see on their Facebook page or something like that. Now that's good. That makes you put in some work, but if you find out enough about that client, then it's all worth it. If you find out enough to know that, hey, this guy could be a really good client, because it's not just that one deal you're going after. If you land that deal, you land their referrals, you land their family, their friends, if you do a good job, etc. So I would try that approach, more of a tailored approach, if it's definitely a lead that you think could turn into something more. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
I can add something.
And who's speaking? Yeah,
this is Brian.
Go ahead.
I've been doing internet leads about 7 years, right? So I've been doing them quite a while, and what I've found is there's going to be people that leave crappy emails, they leave crappy phone numbers, everything. But just because they disappear and they're not there or not answering doesn't mean they're never going to buy. I mean, I've had people in the 7 years call that have been on my site for 4 years. I've never been able to reach. They're just taking their own sweet time. So what I tell my agents is quit defining a good or bad lead based on whether they want to buy on your time frame, right? And understand that they have a reason they're looking for homes. And it may not be on your time frame, but it doesn't mean they're a bad lead either. And then figure out, sometimes you'll never get to talk to them. They'll never open an email, they'll never do anything. So, there are no silver bullets. It's all about, follow up and being consistent.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I tell the story a little bit. It just happened, but in the very beginning of me starting to do this lead generation stuff, that I picked up a few leads in the beginning, and one of these guys searched my site all the time. I can see when he was online. I can see what he looked at. I use Conversion personally for my main CRM, and it gives us a lot of detail into what our leads are doing online. Never heard from this guy one time. No response to my emails, no response to my texts, phone calls, nothing. One day, all these months later, he calls me and goes, "Hey, I'm ready to go, man." Didn't even know who this guy was. He bought 2 investment properties from me. Like, what was it, Doug? Like a week we had these things done.
Yeah, and more coming.
Yeah, and more coming. Yeah, exactly. I have one of the properties that we sold him, getting leased out. I don't typically do leases, but I'm doing it for him. I've got the other one that that he's flipping, that we're getting ready to put on the market, and then 3 more buys after that from a lead that I did put on the drip. Now that was the anomaly, right? Because technically I didn't follow up with him. I just had him on the drip. But the whole reason why he chose me, and I asked him, like, what made you come back? He said, well, you're the only one that consistently sent me emails and alerts. And that right there is why, to what Doug said, every time I get a lead, I automatically put them on a property search, no matter whether they sent me a message or not.
Not daily, right?
Yeah, not daily. I do a weekly one. I'll set them up, like, I'm in the Austin area, so I'll do Austin and like the most popular surrounding cities, like Round Rock, Pflugerville, Cedar Park, etc. And I'll do our median here is around 270, so I'll do everything between like 175 and 300, and just leave it open. Bedrooms, bathrooms, everything. Doesn't matter what it is. A lot of times I'll get a response from these people, and they'll say, "Hey, can you edit my search to XYZ?" Okay, well now you know that you need to change that one to a hot lead, right? They're responding to you now. They want something specific it's time to get a little bit more in detail with them. And that's what I'm doing this year. Now I've hired an ISA. I know everybody doesn't have that ability. We're getting ready to start, going really hot and heavy at these people and creating a system to continuously follow up calls once a week or calls once every 3 days or whatever it is to stay in front of these people. But it's little things like that, because the drip campaigns are great. It's like Mike Porter just wrote in there that he, I helped him set up Doug helped him set up yesterday with me on the phone, the autoresponder. So that, and he said he got one of his older clients responded to a text after no response for multiple calls prior. He got the auto text and it sent out. The drips and auto text and everything, those work too. Those are great. But when you sent the customer or the client a list of homes to view in the area, now you've provided some value. Before, maybe you haven't even spoken to them. So before you've even spoken to them, you can just send them an email. Hey, I set up a custom search for you. I know you're probably busy. That's why I haven't heard from you, but you'll be seeing this list come out soon. You can search some properties, and if you have any questions, let me know. Little things like that go a long way. Will it work for everybody? Probably not. But, you're definitely not going to get anything if you don't do anything, right? Or if you just let them sit. So Cindy just asked, do I use virtual ISAs or in-house? I hired one in-house. So this is a guy that lives in my area, has worked in the real estate industry, so he knows the deal. And although I like the idea of a virtual ISA, for me, I want to be able to reach out and say, what the hell are you doing? I want to know what the people I'm paying are doing for me, and not just have them virtual. That's just my personal opinion. All right, I'm scrolling through here. I'm seeing somebody wrote a comment. They didn't put a name in. Says, I need leads. I've been in the business for 4 years. My sphere only wants discounted properties. I need leads. I would love to call people. Okay, I'm not sure what to do with that, honestly, but if you need leads, you need to get on the train of, social media marketing in some capacity, and start advertising. If you're not doing that, you're not getting leads, you're standing still. To touch on your sphere comment, I don't know about everybody else. I know a lot of agents live by the whole work your sphere. For me, my sphere means past clients. I am not going to pester my friends and family for business. They're on my Facebook. I'll post indirectly, hey, just sold this house today, or, I love real estate, or whatever it is I post, it mentions it. If they're my real friends and family, my real sphere, they're going to see that, and if they want to use me, they're going to use me. Right? But I'm not going to call them every 5 days like some brokers ask you to do, and bug my people and make them hate me. That's my opinion.
Can I interject on the sphere of influence?
Absolutely.
So, you define your sphere as one thing, but you probably have different levels to a sphere. But that takes up a lot of time to market to your sphere. And, people only, on average, buy a house every 5 years. So, yes, you do want to stay in front of them. But there's so much easier of a way to do that, and that's using Facebook. Everybody's on it. I mean, except a few people. But for the most part, and they may not be active, they may not post, but until I started using Facebook for basically marketing, I never posted on there either. I just looked. I looked at it like all the time. I just never posted anything. So there's a lot of lurkers out there. I used to be one. And what you do, use Facebook to work your sphere. You don't have to go on and put posts about real estate all the time. You don't have to say, hey, if you're thinking about real estate, give me a call. You don't even need to do that. We do a training for this social media marketing, and basically, like, just to kind of summarize it, put some interesting stuff on Facebook so that you stay in front of, that you come up in people's news feeds, and don't make it all about you. We call it the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, so basically like 4 out of every 5 posts, put interesting stuff, or you're not even going to show up in people's news feeds. If you're just putting real estate crap, it's going to become white noise. And when you do put real estate stuff, you don't have to ask for business. You could be at an open house and just like, show the house, or out showing some clients some properties in this area. It's a beautiful day, blah, blah, whatever you put. You're not asking for business, but you're reminding people what you do, so that whenever they do think about real estate, you're at top of mind. And it's all about being top of mind with your sphere of influence. But with Facebook, you can have like such a larger sphere of influence and stay in touch with them without really bugging.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
We've all done that, right? Everybody's probably had somebody they know, whether it's a friend or family, buy some real estate and they didn't even call you, and it's like, oh shit, I forgot you did real estate. Well, you weren't top of mind.
That's true.
That's
I mean,
all I found out.
No, it's true. Since you mentioned that, that just happened to me. I had a friend on my Facebook just reach out to me to ask me. I'll add to what Doug said is, make sure when you do that indirect posting on your Facebook page or social media pages, that, you mentioned that you buy and sell homes, or like, out showing a customer or a client the, home they want to buy, or, hey, I just listed this property for sale. I almost had one friend of mine, really close friend actually, buy from an agent he didn't even know. He came to me and said, hey, can you think you can help me find a buyer's agent? So somehow he picked up that terminology. He thought I only sold homes. And I was like, no, I was like, dude, I work with buyers and sellers. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought you only sold them. So, because we've picked up that whole buyer's agent, seller's agent thing, a lot of people think that we're one or the other, that we don't do both. So I got that deal. But just a few weeks ago, I got a call from a friend. It's like, hey, man, if you have any buyers, bring them by my house, dude. I got it for sale. And I'm like, why didn't you call me? And he was like, same thing. I thought you only sold homes. And the last few deals I've done, I was posting up listings, trying to generate leads, things like that. So they thought I was only a seller's agent. So make sure that you're clarifying that when you do that type of indirect marketing. All right. So Russell Hatfield has another question. And I'm sorry, guys, if I'm skipping questions here. There's a few coming through. I'll try to look at everything. How often do you call for first contact? Then how often after that? Guys, as I ask these questions, you guys can post your responses to that in the chat. For me personally, up until recently, I was doing 1 to 2 calls and then just letting them sit on the drip. And obviously, I said that was a mistake, right? So now it's relentless. I'm going to call and call and call once a day, twice a day, until either they pick up and tell me to piss off, or they pick up and say, hey, man, how you doing? Because they submitted their lead to me. They submitted their information and asked for something. So when they finally call,
permission-based selling.
Yeah, exactly. Permission-based selling, exactly. So when they finally answer, they go, man, why are you calling me so much? I'm like, you asked for this list or whatever the offer is you offered them. I'm just trying to get a hold of you to make sure that you get it in a timely manner. So, and then you proceed to ask them the questions. What area are you in? Where do you want me to focus your search on, et cetera, et cetera. But if they haven't answered the phone, it's game on until they do. That's my method.
What about the 333 we talked about, William?
Go ahead. You can explain that.
Okay, so there's an agent, and he shares this he teaches this to agents all over the country. His name's Brian Norvell. He's a really great guy. But he is doing, somebody just said 333 as well as works. They're relentless on their follow-up, and they're crushing it. 333 is basically 3 contacts a day for the first 3 days. And remember, I said it takes 8 to 12 contacts to basically be able to talk to people. So if you do that for the first 3 days, you've got nine attempts. You're already at 9. You're already getting in the sweet spot. So when a lead comes in, text, email, phone call for the first 3 days, and then then put them on like maybe a daily drip or property search or text where they just get 1 contact a day, and you'll probably have like pretty pretty good success with that. You know, mix it up though. Like, you know, if they've got their property search every Friday coming in, maybe a text once a week or twice a week, and then some emails throughout the week. Everybody should have systems in place to be able to do that. And then that way you're not overwhelming yourself as you add leads into your database with trying to make, oh shit, I've got to make 100 calls today. You know, you don't need to call people every single day, but like the first few days, try it. Or hell, even use if you've got like something like what is it? It's not Slaw Dial, but Slaw Broadcaster or something where it just leaves them a message. Or just call them. I mean, whatever you have the time to do, but the 333 is like really crushing it for that group.
Appreciate that, Doug. So Deborah Cazzetta, she asked, what type of property search so that you can see what they're looking at? So Deborah, I know that every area has different MLSs and different tools that they use. For me personally, you know, although I do use Lion Desk, you know, from a training standpoint and frequently, you know, continue to use it. My main CRM is Conversion. And in Conversion, I can set alerts that has my Conversion has MLS, an MLS direct feed. I send them out through there, and when the clients are searching those properties, I can see when they looked at it, which house they looked at, how many times, how long they were on the page, pretty much everything. So now when my ISA gets set loose, he can look in my Conversion and say, we can go back into the activity section. Here, I'm going to show you, if you guys don't mind. Is that okay with you guys? If I show you my Conversion? Don't, if you're in Austin, don't look at my leads. Swear to God, don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. So let's go in here. So like, here's the activity stream in Conversion. And guys, I'm only showing you this just so you can see. I'm not trying to sell you Conversion. So like, here's one of my leads: C. Blair, A. Hillingsworth. 3 hours ago, she was online. She looked at 3 different properties. Doug, you're familiar with Fraga. She's been on my radar for almost a year, and she's very close to buying a house. And now I see that she's back online searching. She hasn't been online in a while, so that's gonna. When I get off this call, I'm gonna call her. You know, it goes on and on. So you can see who was on, how long they were on. I can see how many people are online at the moment, how many people my system recommends that I call today for follow-up. This guy in particular was online last night, and he saved like 15 listings because I get those emails too. But when you go into someone's back end here, I can go to alerts and I can set it whatever zip code they want, whatever city they want. I can set their price range that they asked for. So this guy asked for 350 to 600. He's got a wide price range. This is a listing that I have coming up pretty soon, and it's gonna be a list buy. And then I can set it to send daily, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever I want. And then on the back end, it'll track everything for me. Deborah, I hope that answered your question. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Conversion. Lately, their support has been lackluster, to say the least, but they are, I mean, in their defense, they are going through a merger, and, you know, coming from a business background, that's never easy, and it does cause issues. But they are getting better. But as far as the technology goes and what they have coming forward in the future, there's no way I would use anything else, only because they have the website front end, right? The client hits your site, and then everything they do on your site relays to the back end, which is this in my CRM. So everything I have is set up. It's a process. Deborah, I hope that answered your question. And Doug, if you want to add anything, feel free. And if anybody else wants to add anything, please comment, and I'll unmute you so you can add to that.
Well, you know, most people should have a CRM. It may do, like Lions Desk, you can add an IDX to it, I believe, but I have no idea how to do that. You may have to use something separate to put people on property searches. Well, if you're using Lion Desk, you're going to have to, most likely. but you should be able to at least see if people are looking at the properties in that whatever you're using for your property searches, whether it's MLS or a CRM with the property update function. Right? William, if you use MLS searches for people, you can see if they've opened listings, right?
Yeah, in our MLS we can. Everybody's MLS is different.
Okay.
I know that there's some. Go ahead. Who's talking?
This is Brian. I found that the open house things that you do, the ads, they're a no-brainer for getting people's, contact info. I mean, what they're looking for, right? Because, when I call them up, the very first thing I say to them is, hey, I saw you looked for an open house. I saw you were looking for a list of open houses, but you never told me, what price range or what area you want to be in. What are you looking for? And then they just open up. Then they tell you everything you need to know when you set it up in your MLS.
And that's the thing, and that's why everybody that takes my training, I tell them the same thing. So those of you that have taken my training, you guys know the first thing I do when we're on the call is I check to make sure that there's nobody else in your area using those ads, right? I have a number of different ads that I use, but every ad that you do, it has to be meaningful. It has to have value to it. If you're the person that goes on there and you do an ad and you go, hey, I'm Doug Laney, I'm your guy, I can help you a lot, for real, and then you submit that, and you believe me, I've seen some weird ads in my marketplace, then you're not going to get anything. When the phone doesn't ring, don't be surprised, right? People know we're agents. People know we're realtors. They can look at our page name and see that. They want to know how you can provide value. What are you doing different from every other agent to make that lead want to work with you? Not just there, but from after you send that list or you get their information. What are you doing after that? Are you following up? Are you showing that you care? That's where I failed last year, right? And I openly admit that I failed last year. I worked so hard. Doug told me a lot because I work with him every day that I need to be focused more, and I didn't, thinking that I was right, and I paid the price for that. It probably is going to end up being to the tune of around 150 grand in lost commission because of the mistakes I made. But that's okay though, because this year I won't make those mistakes, and hopefully the things that I'm adding here will keep you all from making those same mistakes as well. But yeah, Brian, just to touch on what you said, you're right. Those people do open up, and it's because it's just exactly what Doug just said a second ago, permission-based selling. They asked you for something, and now you're following up to say, hey, I'm trying to get you what you asked for, but I need a little bit of information from you first. Now you've got dialogue. Now you've got a reason to call, and they've got a reason to answer your call, right? Doesn't matter what type of ad you're running. That's going to be the situation. Doug, you want to add anything there before I move to the next question?
Just a good old, Southern philosophy: don't bite off more than you can chew.
Right, which is exactly what I did last year.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anybody else? I'm still scrolling through this list of questions. So please forgive me if I miss your question. If you wrote something above more than say 15 minutes ago and I didn't answer it, repaste it in the chat because I'm scrolling through now. Elizabeth asked, which drip campaign from LionDesk would you recommend for the open house Facebook ad, and can you do listing alerts through LionDesk? I believe they have, like Doug said, they have an integration. I haven't seen it yet. Most people don't pay for that, but you do have the option. So as of right now, I don't know much about their listing alerts through LionDesk. The reason why I recommend LionDesk to the users that do my training is because most of them already have a website, some like Playster or some other website that their broker is offering to them for free, and they don't want to spend the money that it costs to get an all-in-one package like what you're seeing with Conversion right here. So I would do your property searches the best way you can, which is probably through your MLS. As far as the drip campaign goes, I have a custom drip that is reserved for people that have taken the training and done and paid for the CRM automation and setup and everything. But if you wanted to use one of theirs, I would just use their general buyer drip and edit it to kind of make it a little less information riddled. Just simple, effective text messages are what works the best. I mean, not text messages, but email messages as well. Just real quick, hey, checking in. Just wanted to see if there was anything I could do for you. You know, how's the open house search coming along, or whatever it's about. You can tailor it to that. You can make you can copy those drips and make separate drips for each particular campaign that you're running, or you can make one big, long, generalized one that would fit everything. I hope that answers your question, Elizabeth.
Somebody asked, how long do you put them on a drip for?
415 days. That's
but
what I put them on.
Yeah, and that may seem like, oh shit, I need to create a drip for like a year and a half, and then you're like, you put it off. But if you just start your drip, if you're just starting now, do it for a month, and then you have basically 30 days to add more email campaigns to that drip. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, but get it started. Knock out a month's worth of follow-up, and then maybe, next week or something, set some time aside and add another month. Or once you start going into the months, it's going to be easier because you're only going to be following up like maybe once a week with emails, maybe, once a week with text, or once a month with a text message. I mean, the further out you get, it's not going to be as many emails. But don't let it scare you. Just start if you want to, create a custom one, just make it. Set people up on it, and then add on to it, because you can go in there and modify it.
Right.
Are you following what I'm trying to say?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Don't let it scare you.
All right. So Mike said when I send a search to a client that has responded, I set it up as daily and also have the ability to have any property info texted to them as well. Okay, that's a good addition to what we've just talked about. Susan said, how does the auto response work with LionDesk? Susan, it's pretty much the same with any other CRM. You're creating a drip campaign. You're creating it to either send A, certain text messages at certain days and times, or B, certain emails during certain days and times. And you build out that drip campaign to send, for example, email 1 on day 1, email 2 on day 6, so on and so forth. I have mine set up for 415 days to go out sporadically. In the beginning, for the first 2 months, it goes out like every 5 days. Then, for the next 4 months, it's like every week, and then it turns into like every 2 weeks, and then every month. So that way they're at least seeing your name, seeing your face if you have it in your signature and all that. And
they're still getting the property update.
Right, and they're still getting the property update. Alfredo, yes, I am vaping. I do vape, so that's probably what you're hearing in the background. Want to make sure I answer all questions, so there you go. Let me see. Somebody, I don't know who this person is, but they're saying their referrals want cheap homes. That's okay, noted. Andrew, I used to own a restaurant. One of the keys to success is being in those first 5 places people think of or suggest when going out. Okay, good information. It's the same with RE. One needs to keep reminding, preferably with a bit of subtlety. Bryant, let's see. So Bryant's putting an example in here. His ISA contacted a lead this morning and got the criteria of what they were looking for. Let me see. Okay, he's doing talking about Loom. Brian, I'll let you talk about Loom in a second if you're still on. So Matt's asking, Matt, I'm assuming this is Matt Braswell asking this question. How's your average time to keep a campaign going? I think you might be asking how, that might have been the question, Doug, you were looking at. So we answered that already. Anybody else keep adding your question? Yeah, I'm kind of far back. Let's
I think
see.
we're caught up on the questions.
Maybe
We just need to
so.
go to the middle.
Yeah, somebody asked about BombBomb as a part of the 333. I personally don't use video. If anybody else in here does, please feel free to share your experience, and I'll either unmute you or put you on so you can talk.
And Lion does the video.
It does. It has an integration so you can do the video.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see what else we got. So slide dial. I'm almost caught up on the questions. Deborah, yes, conversion. A lot of questions. Conversion does have a drip campaign. I've got multiple drip campaigns in my conversion. I'll show you here. So when you go into conversion into the back end, I've got my hero program stuff. So my hero program is in here. I've got a move program that I use. Past client drip, it's very non-invasive. Like every 2 months an email will go out or a text will go out. My general buyer campaign, which goes on for quite a while, and my seller drip. So anything seller based goes onto that drip as well. I hope that answered your question. Doug, anything you want to add here?
No, I think we just need to go to the bottom. There were a few questions, like Elizabeth asked about your training.
Let me see.
And about the custom drip campaign.
Okay, I'm still getting through here.
The bottom. It's at the bottom.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got everybody's questions. So she said, I did take your training, so does that mean I can get your custom drip campaign? Elizabeth, yes, you can get a copy of the custom drip campaign, but what I was referring to was the people that were having me add the custom drip campaign into their Lion desk and set it up and do the automation and train them on the CRM, et cetera. That's what I was referring to. So you can email me, and I'll send you a copy of that today. Christina, can you guys recommend an inexpensive IDX? Somebody else above, I personally can't vouch for one company or another in there. If anybody has a good IDX website service that they're using and the cost, you can post it in the chat.
That would probably be a good question to post to the group.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, post that into the group and you'll probably get a pretty good response from it. Just like I did last night when I was looking for a new tool for FSBOs and expireds, et cetera. Andrew, you have a good face for radio. Matt, what are your top 3 campaigns to run that you've gotten the most leads from? It's a good question. I can't say I really have a top 3. Most of my campaigns do pretty well because of the targeting that I do. I've run a lot of different stuff. I'll run the first-time homebuyer program that everybody, you see a lot of people complain about, but it works for me because I target it properly. Same thing with the hero programs; those work very well for me, and I target them properly. So really, most of anything that I use, it works pretty well in my area.
Targeting is key.
Targeting is the key. I mean, targeting, the ad content, the pictures, the structure of it all plays together. The structure of the script that you use for the text above the pictures, like all of those things, they play into each other as far as how effective you are at capturing leads. Mike's asking if you can do a quick rundown of the 333 again. But I'm going to finish these questions up real quick, and then we're gonna hop off because we're almost done here. Let me see, Susan. I did my training before this call. My ad was approved, and I received 1 lead today. Cool, that's awesome. And you should receive plenty more. Somebody say something?
No, that was me. I was just saying thank you.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's the end of the questions. So if anybody else has anything to add, please do so. I'm going to have Doug just kind of quickly explain the 333 rule one more time since somebody asked. And if nobody else has anything else, I am out of information unless you have a question about something specific.
Okay. I'll go over the 333 again, and there's a few other little tidbits of info that I'll share. The 333 again is basically the first 3 days, 3 types of contact each day. That equals 9 contact attempts in the first 3 days, you've already surpassed the number 8 contacts. It's 8 to 12 before you're able to actually talk to somebody to try to convert them. And then you can let up. You don't need to do 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Just, hit them once a day after that, and then at a certain point, once a week or twice a week. There are a few, I want to talk to you about some tools and some other things. Like you can go, there's some free sites. Typeform is one. Woofu is another one. You can create like some little surveys. You can create like a home buyer survey or a home seller survey. You can boost it or just post it on your page to just do some organic traffic. You maybe get some leads doing that. Just create a nice little survey. We'll touch back on William's thing. Don't warm up the leads for somebody else to close them. Like, be sure to, stay true with your follow-up. I don't know if everybody knows about, well, actually, I know everybody doesn't know about this little hack, but this is for iPhone users only. If you get a lead and the phone number is not good, but maybe the email is, if you have an iPhone and you take their email and plug it into a text message, and then you put your cursor in the text box to start typing, if their email turns blue, that means it's hooked up to their iMessaging, and you can actually text message them with that email. It's just another way that I like to stalk people. And then on the stalking, you can use somebody's email or phone number to search for them on Facebook. Depending on how they have their settings in Facebook, you might be able to find them. You can also go, one search engine I like to use is called Pipl, PIPL.com. You can use an email, a name, or a phone number and try to find those people. I mean, you're basically paying money for these leads, and they had some sort of interest in it. I'll do everything I can to track them down. I mean, if you find them on Facebook, friend them. Send them a Facebook message. I mean, what do you have to lose? Nothing, but you've got a bunch to gain potentially.
I mean, you lose one spot on your friends list, so you can lose that. Okay, that's about it.
So that's all I have.
All right. Anybody else? I'm about to call it a day here. Let's see. Can we see another link? Oh yes, Pro. I'll convert this video and upload it to YouTube and paste it to the group later on this evening for you all to view if there's anybody that wants to rebuy it. Bryant posted in the group the Loom video service that he's using. You guys can check that out. I can't really comment on it too much. I've seen it, but I haven't actively used it, so I don't want to put any info on it yet until I can use it myself and then give my 2 cents. Let's see. Let me make sure I got everybody else here.
And also, if people have questions, ask it in the group. There's like 2,300 people in there to help.
Okay, I'm just searching through here. Maggie, you said what are the sites called? What sites are you referring to? Let's see. Christina asked, what numbers in the Power Editor Ads Manager tools tell you that the ad is doing well? Can you give us stats? Christina, I don't use those stats. I don't use post engagement. I use the leads. So for me, I don't focus on likes, comments, shares, all that stuff, because I've never had anybody buy a house from me that liked, commented, or shared my post. I look at just cost per lead, how much I've spent versus how many leads I've received. That's pretty much the only number that matters to me. And anything, depending on the area, it could be, I wouldn't be willing to spend over $10 a lead depending on the area. But there are some areas that are smaller, and you could spend $17 or $18 a lead. But I mean, if you think about it in comparison to Realtor.com or Zillow or 100 other services out there that are charging you $60, $70, $80 a lead, and a lot of times they're not even the right type of lead. You have the power to be in control if you know how to target properly and you know how to do the right ad. You have the automation. You streamline your business to take care of these clients before you even have to call them. Right? If you're out showing property, you don't have to worry about it. Your auto drip's got that covered. Then you get back to the office and you call and you set follow-up calls, et cetera, things like that. Let me see. Somebody asked, is there a particular time frame to avoid when using a drip campaign? For example, don't send emails between, this time and this time. For emails, not really for me. I mean, I don't think it's inappropriate for an auto drip email to go out at 3 a.m. I don't think anybody's really checking their email that late or has an issue with that. For text messages and calls, absolutely. I wouldn't call anybody after 7:30, 8 o'clock in any time zone. So I just wouldn't do it.
Grandma, the picture I did.
All right, so let me see who that is. I can mute them out. All right, let's see. Last question. I don't think there's much. So Nick, how much? Hey Nick, just message me. I don't want to get into that on the call. I know I've mentioned the training a few times, but a lot of the stuff we're talking about is relevant to it. So yeah, just message me on Facebook, and I'll answer your questions. Maggie, Doug, I think Maggie was talking about the links that you were just talking about. I guess the tools that you were talking about. And yes, Nick, it's recorded.
Put those in the text box.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay. And Nick, yes, this is recorded. I'll put it on my YouTube channel and I'll post it to the group later for you to watch. All right, I guess nobody else has any questions. I'm gonna sit here for another minute or so to see if anybody else has any questions that we can answer. And then other than that, we'll jump off. So if you guys want to hang on to see if anybody else has any questions, you can. If not, you guys have a great day. I hope you sell a lot of houses, and let me know if you have any questions. A lot of you know I'll respond to you pretty quickly, so feel free to reach out. Hey, Joni, if you're still on, looks like everybody's dropping off. Actually, I do have to close the GoTo meeting out before we start our training session because I have to convert the video from this. So once I close it out, I have to spend about 10 minutes converting the video real quick, and then I'll open it back up so you can join the link again. It's the same link that you joined earlier. I forgot about that when you asked me that question.
All right.
All right, everyone. It looks like we're good. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. Looking forward to doing the next call with you guys soon. Send me any ideas, anything you want to talk about, any tools, send it over, and I'll add it to the list. Y'all take care.